But you know, in terms of the theme of this conference, the elephant in the room. Because on the one hand, remember this is an integrated plan, we're talking about sewage, we're talking about rain, and the $1.4 billion for sewage treatment, it's a really big deal. It's stressing the region beyond its capacity to pay for the $1.4 billion for sewage treatment. But if we're going to walk the talk, we have to do it. So, as the reference panel, meeting with regional engineers, meeting with municipalities, in terms of getting a sense of what was their concern, what did they need to bring out. And they said, well, the elephant in the room is unfunded liabilities from doing plans where people aren't thinking about what the outcome is. And so when you take the number of watersheds we have and start multiplying by X dollars for a big study, X million dollars per plan, before you know it, you've just matched the $1.4 billion for sewage treatment. So if we have an affordability issue on sewage treatment, we're not going to go there as a region and spend another $1.4 billion unless we're achieving multiple objectives, unless it achieves the outcome. So that was the significance. The unintended outcomes, what was a good idea 10 years ago, how we went a little bit off direction. So part of that course correction, and at about the same time, this is where my hat started to blur, right? Because in terms of the action plan hat, the reference panel was being informed by what was going on the island of Academy, being informed through the Surrey Block-Off and all the forum. Coming out of that, and those who would have heard Remy Dubé talking about getting green infrastructure built right. And so the reference panel focused on 3 recommendations. Remember, this is high level in terms of communicating with elected officials, can't get into the details with them, they've got to get the right language in there. And said, refocus this process, refocus it. ICP's integrated plans on the targets and the outcome. What do you want to achieve? And in terms of having a coordinating group, because at this point we are talking about the regional team approach. In fact, when we talk about the regional team approach, we're doing a parallel work on the island, and we're politicians, we said, look, Metro Vancouver needs to be cross-fertilizing with the Comox Valley. We need Fred Manager or Ed Manu, they've got to come to the Comox Valley, right, Sandy? And Ed came. So that began the collaboration. We said region-wide, we need a consistent and integrated approach region-wide. We need consistent messaging. We can't have different people giving different messages. So we began the process of consistent messaging with this forum a year and a half ago. This morning, Ted referred in Beyond the Guidebook 2010, he made reference to Table 2. Beyond the Guidebook is the stories of the champions and the successes, but there's a table there which was developed as part of the consultation process for the Metro Vancouver plan. The reference panel endorsed it, fed it into the process. But what I want to highlight for you right now is action number 1.120. And I guess the plan will be delayed a little bit because of the new minister not having Barry Pennington work. And the last step in the process was to have a minister sign off that municipalities will update municipal bylaws to require on-site rainwater management sufficient to meet criteria establishing municipal integrated stormwater plans for baseline region-wide data. So linking the site to the watershed, what are we trying to do? What's the desired outcome? How do we get there? So in Table 2, again, trying to get down on one page, setting watershed-specific targets that are protect and to improve stream health, and implement targets at the development scale. The significance, you've got to be thinking at 3 scales: site, neighborhood, and watershed. What target will achieve the objective? The objectives are different for every watershed. It's reality. What needs to be done to make the targets achievable in that watershed? And do solutions, do green infrastructure solutions, do they meet the test of affordability and multiple objectives? Because we are cash strapped. That's the bottom line. We're cash strapped. We can't do everything.